Stand right here.
Sure.
Hi, my name is Lisa Weiss. I'm a children's and disabilities attorney and an education policy specialist. I'm also the mother of a deaf teenager, and Max is the reason I was asked to speak at this town hall meeting today, and I want to thank you for giving the deaf community an opportunity to be heard. My deepest wish is for people to understand that deaf people are just like everyone else. They are just people. I've found the systems in Colorado to be difficult because of this one thing. I know that the state agencies responsible for serving deaf people don't understand. This is not a lack of people's good intentions. I know the people who work at these agencies care. It's because of lack of exposure. It's because assumptions are made about what deaf people need by people who are not deaf. Over the last 9 years, I've witnessed the exclusion of deaf people in the meetings where their fate is being determined. To me, that's the biggest problem. We need deaf people at every level of leadership, and there are almost none. I have the privilege of living with a deaf person and being a part of a deaf community. I oftentimes work in predominantly deaf groups. I understand the barriers that exist when communication is inaccessible. I understand that inaccessibility is at the core of all of the struggles for our community. It's a barrier to everything. People are wired for communication. It's a basic human need, and that's why it's a civil right. Without the ability to communicate, there's no opportunity for meaningful understanding or connection, for a meeting of our minds. What I wish people would understand is that this does not only affect the deaf person, it affects the whole group. What I also wish people could see is that for a person in an inaccessible community, this one thing is often the reason for their behavioral health care need. Without access, people can become easily isolated and withdrawn. We become depressed and anxious. I want you to try to imagine what it feels like to be fearful and to be excluded everywhere because you can't understand what is going on, so you can't connect. It's not that difficult to imagine that at some point you really only feel safe at your own home. That's Max's experience, and that's our family's experience. I want you to know that I was raised in our public school system. I'm a supporter. I moved back here when my kids were young because Colorado boasted of being a leader in deaf education, and I wanted my kids to attend the same schools that I did. I wanted my kids to go to the schools where I felt safe, but this isn't the same school system. Our school system is no longer focused on its mission. From my perspective, our kids' social emotional needs are ignored unless their behavior becomes disruptive. Then they're restrained, suspended, or just pushed out and forgotten.